Hi everyone, Roy Neary from Data Spinners here. We're building an app off the Common Data Service. The purpose of the app is to manage documents, and in this session we are going to start building some entities over the Common Data Service. So I'm going to jump into that by going here. I've obviously got a few screens open, so I shall ditch a few of these, get rid of that. Bear with, as they say. Okay, and I don't need that anymore. So here we are. We're actually not in the Common Data Service at the moment. We are in. We're actually in my default environment. So this will be interesting to see what I'll do there. Very weird. I'm going to go into. I'm going into my my test environment here, so I can build one. I suppose it wouldn't be a bad idea just to show you how to spin up an environment. So essentially all you do is you go to your admin view here, you go to your admin center. Obviously you do need to be an admin, and anyone can actually build these environments. However, if you obviously want a corporate version, then you'll need to get yourself a Plan 2 license. So essentially all you do is you click New Environment, and it tends to be best to site it in the same location as your actual tenant, so you can get some peculiar things happening, but essentially all you do is you give it a name, and obviously if you want a production environment, then you need to have the correct license. So I'm not going to spin one up at this point. It doesn't really add a lot of value. You just create the environment and away you go. That's probably for another day. Okay, so I'm going to jump into my environment. So I'm going to come off this admin area. In fact, yeah, that's okay. And I need to make sure that I'm on a Canvas app. So this bit at the bottom, ignore the fact model-driven apps. We are just concentrating on Canvas, WYSIWYG type apps. And the issue that I've got at the moment is I need my 3 new entities that I worked out last time. So my 3 entities that are so I've got life area, supplier, and documents. There's a very good chance that I won't think of all of the things I actually need first time round, but we'll give it a go. So I'm just going to build the whole lot from scratch. So I'm going to go new entity, display name, life area. Life areas. Okay, fine. And I'm going to go next on that. And yeah, I'm happy with primary name. That's okay. That is a custom field. We're going to be going okay with that. I'm going to check what we can. So I am going to check what we can do with this. Now, can I make it quite like that? So they're insistent this is actually a straight text field, which I can live with. It's okay. I guess what I'll probably need to do is to build a teeny tiny app to maintain this, but it's not that big a deal. There's only going to be a few items in there anyway, so I'll just build a sort of freebie app to put some data in here. Just check the advanced options and see what we're going on. No, nothing happening there. In actual fact, I think what I'm going to do is I may just ignore this primary name field and just do a lookup field. Okay, after some deliberation, I've decided I'm going to get rid of this primary name field. I may come to regret that. And I'm going to add a field, and I'm going to call it life area. Data type, it's definitely going to be text. I could go for an option set, which would give me an opportunity to hit a drop down. I'm just going to go for a straight text field on this occasion. I'm going to hit the done button, and it's definitely required because that is one of my key fields. I'm going to see if I can actually ditch this field, which I can. Oops, that was not what I wanted to do. Add field. I'm going to go live area, data type, text again, required, that, done, right, and this is the one I want to get rid of. So let's see what happens there. In fact, it does not want me to delete this at all. So let's just see what's happening on this. I'm going to go remove the required bit on there. And I don't need the searchable piece. So I'm going to hit the done button. And that is me done on this little bit here. So tiny little field there. Save entity. So we're going to create a new entity, and that is going to cover the. Let's just jump back to the. Yeah, we're going to look at the supplier, and then we're going to go to the documents. Okay, cool. So that's saving the entity. It does normally take a couple of minutes, maybe a couple of minutes to actually save the entity. So let's not worry too much about that. And once we're done on that, we are going to create the suppliers entity, which will have a field called life area, because that's one of the things that we're doing a link on. So we're going to go life area, supplier name. That may be all I need at this point in time. So let's come off that. We're going to go onto my entities, and I'm going to do new entity, and I'm just going to check what they've got on here already. They're bound to have suppliers on here, but I definitely don't want them. Okay, maybe they have vendors. Nope. Okay, so I'm going to go new entity, suppliers, good, that's fine. We go next on that. Okay, let's stick with the primary name, that's fine, we'll do our link on that, and I'll do add field, and the field is going to be life area. That sounds a bit mad actually, but I'm going to properly use the primary name as the name of the supplier. That's probably the right way to actually do this sort of thing. So okay, go on that, click the done button. In fact, I am actually going to create my own field. I never like using these default fields. I just find them confusing. It's much easier if you use your own field names. So I will click done on that, and I will go for another field, and I'll call it supplier name, and it's going to be text. It's definitely required. We'll go done on that, and I notice that the life area isn't required, but it definitely is required, so we'll go on that. And then finally we're going to have our kind of, I guess it's our main fact table, which is the table with all of the items that we're really interested in. Okay, so we will save this, and we'll wait for the things to circle round. Okay, so saving the entity. Now the fact table is going to be our most important table, so it's going to have things like the date that was relevant to the photograph that we're taking, and so on. So I think that whilst we may not want to change the supplier or the life area table, we may well want to change the. We may not get it right first time round when we do the documents table. So I'm going to go add. I'm going to entities, I'm going to call it new entity. I'm going to call it documents. That's fine. I'm going to pop this in front here. I mean, there's something tempting around literally deleting all of the out of the box entities, but we'll keep hold of them for the moment. So display name documents. That's great. And I will now start adding some fields. So what we have to have is we need supplier name, okay, which is a data type of text, and that's definitely required. So I'm going to add a field, and what am I going to do? Well, we need some kind of date field. So I don't know. I don't think it really needs to be. Let's call it date document. I just find that when you kind of put these sort of names in, it just makes life a little bit easier later on. So we're going to go for. I think I'm going to go for a date only at the moment. Is it required? Well, I'll probably sort on using date, so I think I'm going to put something in, even if it's today's date, that I think it's important for it to have a date on this sort of thing. So we'll have a date, and we might want a value field. I'm going to leave it for the moment, just keep it really, really simple. I think we need some kind of narrative field. Narrative. So data type. We call it a text area field. I don't think this is necessarily required, and I think, I don't know. I just think that if we've got sort of a, we might need some kind of category field, but we need to be a little bit careful with that. What we certainly need is we need an image field, because this is theoretically, we may have an image for everything, we may not, but I think in theory we will have an image every time we create a document. So bear with. There she blows. It's not going to be required. Let's see if there's any advanced options. There aren't. And we are done. So I'm going to save that entity, and at this point in time we are going to be just about at the point where we can start building our app. Thanks everyone. So I'm going to leave it at this point. I've created my entities, and very shortly we will start cracking through the app.